This meeting is being recorded.
Yes, the floor is yours,
All right.
Christian.
Okay, can I begin?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, welcome everybody. I'm Christian from Dr. Wuvo Industries, and I'm from Germany. And I've done a lot of projects about the C64 in the last year. So maybe some of you know my 4-player games that I'm doing. So these are made in my little space here. And I've also done another project, which is a type-in magazine with basic listings that you can type in from the paper into your C64. And now I've got a new toy, and I want to show that. I'm connected with 2 accounts, but Sebastian will take care of that. So I will show it on my second camera now. And this is my new toy. So it's a MEGA65.
You need to share your screen, sorry, Christian, like you did before. You know, you share from your.
No, I'm connected with a second account, so you can find it on a different speaker. So I'm connected with my phone on a second account.
Yes, but did you share your screen like you did before?
Yes, it should be visible.
Okay.
It's here where the hand is. Can everybody see the hand? Okay.
I don't actually. So I just see.
Okay.
I just see your full screen. Ah, yeah. Okay. No, then okay. I see what you mean.
Okay.
We need to find you in the speakers video, and then we can double click on this. But I think what you did before from the Zoom app, you shared your screen, right?
Yes. Maybe it went off. I will try it again.
Yes.
Is it better now?
Now it is. Yes.
Okay, so it got off because of the warning with the recorded audio. Okay, so this is my new computer. It's a MEGA65. For everyone who doesn't know what that is, there would have been a Commodore C65 in the late 80s, early 90s, and Commodore never brought it to market. And there are some cool guys who thought about recreating this machine. So this is now a brand new machine that looks like the old machine. It really has a working disk drive, so that's really cool. And everything is FPGA based. So basically this computer can be everything, but for the most part, it is of course a recreation of the C65 with some enhanced features. It's also compatible to an extent with the C64, so you can also run old programs on it, but not everything. But yeah, so my problem was when I was following this project for over 7 years now, and now it finally came to life. And I was wondering what would I do when it arrives, because I thought, okay, it's good that it takes so long, because if I get it, I have to do something with it. So, but I had an idea of what to do, and I thought it would be great to use it mainly in the beginning as a machine to do some basic programming. So every one of you, or probably most of you, remember that how it was like coding BASIC on the C64. You didn't have lots of commands for graphics or sound or something like that, and everything was really slow. So on this machine, things are vastly improved. You have a lot of more speed. You have 40 megahertz, and you have a much better BASIC. And I will show you what I've done. What was my first? Let's just mount the disk drive. So I will show you what was my first program that I did on this. So I will load it now from a real disk. Okay, file not found. Don't know why this happened. I forgot an L. Okay, so I will show you my first program, which is just a balloon. I hope it will be. It got a bit. No, the picture's better. So this is a balloon that you can steer with the joystick, and it's written in a few lines of BASIC. So this was very easy to do, and I was really getting excited on what I can do with that computer. So if you want to see the basic listing, the sprites continue moving because everything is handled in an interrupt. So this is something that the basic has included. It's basically like on the CS128. So some functions are running in the background, so you don't have to use assembly or something like that to move a few sprites. So this is already the whole code for that. And I also coded some routines that allow me to design the sprites right in the source code. And I did that on the first weekend after having this machine. So that was really exciting. And then I thought, okay, I will want to make a clone of a game from a Lazy Jones mini game. So I coded this game, which some of you might know. So this is one of the mini games from Lazy Jones. It's also entirely written in BASIC. So you can, it's basically like Tron or Snake, and you can walk around with this wall and build this wall inside this garden. And it was also coded on one afternoon in 3 hours or so, and it's entirely in BASIC. It was done on the machine, not in an emulator and so on. And it's really like in the old days, but better than back in the old days. So because you have many advanced commands, you can redefine characters. So you see those graphic characters that you don't have on the C64, like the plant or the wall. You can define that with one single line of code, and that's really cool. So you're really you have much more possibilities, and you don't have to think like an assembly programmer. You can finally think like a basic programmer, and that's really cool. And yeah, you can find all those listings on the MEGA65 file host. I uploaded them there. And yeah, I also made 2 videos about those. So if you want to go into detail, you can watch my videos on YouTube, where I go a little bit into more detail on those things. And now I'm working on another project, which is a little bit more advanced. And now I finally get to know the limits of BASIC, because my third game is really now a little bit, yeah, it's doing a lot of more things. And now I also saw that BASIC is not as fast, even on the MEGA65, as I was hoping for. And I will show you that. I just have to load it. So this hasn't been really showed before because it's not published yet. And I will show you that game. So it's a 2-player game. And you have those little ghosts inside of this maze. And you can control, each player can control the ghost with a joystick. I'm not sure if it looks smooth on your camera picture now, but it's running really smooth with full 50 Hertz frame rate and so on. And the basic gameplay is that you have to collect those nodes, and you can then shoot the nodes. So if I shoot with the fire button, the node will go to the other player, and I have to shoot the other player with the node. And of course, the other player can do the same. And this is the game. I'm not sure if the music is too loud. So this is a small and simple game, and you would not expect that it's really very advanced. But I had to see that even for BASIC on the MEGA65, it's already a little bit too, yeah, you can feel the limits of BASIC. So I implemented something that also the assembly programmers know, which is counting the raster time inside of the bars. So now in this mode, you can see how much time everything takes. So the black area is the time we still have. And when I'm moving now with both players, you can see that everything is coming down because the computer has to do more things. So the bar will be a lot narrower. And you can see that a lot of things are happening in this game. And this is already the result after optimizing. So while I was coding it, there were a few moments where I thought, okay, this game will be not possible on MEGA65 in BASIC. But now I'm glad that finally I can confirm that it will be possible. But there's still a little bit of little work to do yet in order to publish the game. But it will be for free, of course, and it will be in BASIC, and everyone can read the code. And yeah, so that will be hopefully released within the next days or weeks. I don't know, because I have to go on a business trip soon. But I have to, yeah, I will look that I will release it soon. So yeah, so that's my current project. I don't know how much time we still have left.
You're okay. You have like 6 minutes left. That should include questions as well. But
okay, so then, does anybody have a question about the MEGA65?
I do. Did you make not necessarily about the C65, but did you make Shotgun and Space Lords? I think.
I did not make Space Lords, but I did make Shotgun.
Oh, awesome! I played that game on the C64 Maxi. It was an absolute beast, man. Thank you.
That's nice to hear. Thanks.
good. I had a question because
so you have to try the other games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Okay.
You mentioned then it's in BASIC, but is it BASIC version 2, or is it the one for the 28, or is it the one that is, because I think with the MEGA65 it comes also with version 10, right? Of the
Yeah, so the C64 had BASIC 2 and the C128 had BASIC 7, and the C65 would have had BASIC 10. And now the MEGA65 team made an improvement of that, and they called it BASIC 65.
And is that the one that you used for these games?
Yes, so that's the BASIC that is also included, and I think everyone probably will use that. There are a few people who want to use just what the C65 would have had to offer, but I think the most people will use BASIC 65. And one thing that is very important to know about the MEGA65, so it might look like it's a super ready machine and super finished, but the thing that's finished now is basically the hardware, but the software is still in development. So you have to accept that still some things still are under development and it might still change a bit and so on. So you shouldn't expect to have a super finished machine out of the box yet, even though it looks great, but there's still a lot of things going on. So that should be known before ordering it, because it's not that cheap.
I was wondering if the C65 has graphic commands. So like draw, circle, or like BBC, you know?
Yeah, it has graphic commands, just like on the C128, like circle and line and so on. So you can use that also, yeah. But I have not used it so far, but something like that is also included, and it's much faster because it runs at 40 megahertz. So that's really a big improvement over the old Commodore machines.
That's awesome. Thank you.
There was a question in the chat, but it was similar to mine, so it has been answered actually. Yeah, I don't know. You had more to say, or do we continue with questions now, Christian?
Yeah, I don't really have anything more to show, because these are my first projects now.
Okay.
I can show you just for fun the C64 mode, just to see that it's really there. Yeah, so you can really go into the C65 4 mode, but I have to say it's not that compatible. It's more compatible than the C65 would have been, but it's still not 100% compatible. So I tried about 20 games, so of my favorite games like River Raid and Park Patrol and Wizard of War and so on. And out of those games, I could say 1/3 was working flawlessly, another third was working so-so, and the third third wasn't even really starting or was unplayable. So you have to keep in mind this is not a replacement for a C64, but it has compatibility. So
Do we
Yeah,
know the
buy
reason?
it if you just
That's
want to
not,
have a modern C64.
yeah. Do we know the reason why is it not exactly so because you say some are working fine and others not? What is
Yeah,
that?
there are some. One of the things is the illegal opcodes. So the original CPU of the C64 had some illegal opcodes, some undocumented features, so to speak. And the new CPU has a few improvements, so it had to get rid of some of those illegal opcodes. The original C65 would have got rid of all the illegal opcodes, but this one only where it has to add new features. So that's one reason. Another reason are timing issues and so on, or things with fast loaders and so on. So yeah, I think the team is still working on improving the situation, but it will never be perfect for C64. But there's also one thing, and I almost forgot this. It's an FPGA machine, so you can put other cores on it, and there is a C64 core, so which has nothing to do with the MEGA65 project. But if you boot into this, now this is a different C64 mode, and this is almost perfect from the compatibility standpoint. So if you're really interested to use it as a C64, you can use this alternative core. But in that moment, it's only a C64, so it has nothing to do with the MEGA65 anymore. So you can use that as a quick way to have improved compatibility. Also, the menu and so on is different because someone else made it, but you can use it, and so this is like an alternative.
Okay.
You can
Pretty
also
cool
run
that
a
you-
spectral core.
I see a comment that says we need Vice for MEGA65 to get it going.
That's not working because Vice is a software emulator, and this is an FPGA machine, and these things are working very differently. Okay, Matthew, you wanted to ask something also?
Yes, I was wondering, do any C64 or any cartridges for the C64 reverse compatible with the C65?
Yes, they are. That's the cool thing, because the original C65 would have had a slightly different cartridge port, but luckily never any cartridges, of course, came out. So the MEGA65 team said, okay, let's just put in the standard C64 cartridge mode. And so maybe not every cartridge works yet, but I have tested a few simple game cartridges and they worked flawlessly.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. Okay, another question I have is, can you, what kind of file format is the C65?
What do you mean?
File format? So is it D64 as well, or D81s, or?
Yeah, that's another thing that is a little bit inconvenient. So at the moment, it only supports D81 files, which is something that not everyone uses, of course. And it is sometimes a little bit of a hassle to convert things, but also we're hoping that things improve on that end. But yeah, so it's because of the internal 3.5 disk drive, they chose to implement the D81 format first. And actually, this is also one thing that I would like to mention. So the real disks are really cool to use, especially if you're basic programming. So it's just fun you can use any D81 and whatever, but when you're coding your own basic programs, it's so cool to save them on a real disk. So I'm always doing that. But yeah. So and then
Pretty
you
awesome,
don't have
man.
to use you don't have to use any disk images or something like that. Yeah.
Is that disk double density?
It's high density actually, because they sourced some PC drives that they have found in some storage or something like that. So it's an HD compatible drive, but I think you can also use DD disks. And yeah, it's really cool to have this inside. They also said, because there are some fans of there was a different model from the C65 planned, which is called the classroom model, and it would have had no disk drive, so it would have looked little bit like an Amiga 600. And some fans hope that once once all the original Megas are sold, so maybe they will create a classroom edition without a drive, because also the drives are running out at some point. But this is future music, so we don't know yet if that will happen.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Thank you.
Okay, so any more questions about the MEGA65?
Yeah, I see a last question maybe in the chat. Well, it's similar. Did you try it with cartridges like Ultimate 2?
No, not yet. And I think the more complicated the cartridges are, the more likely it is that it won't work. And I also heard from some guy from the German Forum 64. He tried it with an Easy Flash or Kung Fu Flash or something like that. And his MEGA65 isn't working at the moment. So yeah, so maybe if you want to experiment with that, maybe ask in advance if it's a good idea or not.
Yeah.
But I think a simple game cartridges which have just a ROM with a game, they should all work fine. So in my case, that was working.
Okay. Good, but thanks a lot, Christian. I think maybe what you could do is to paste the link. You presented this 4-player game, and you mentioned that, or you showed this other game that you were developing. You said you would release that in the coming days. If there are links to something, maybe you can either post them in the chat or on the comments on the Facebook post, if that's possible, or here in the chat. That would be nice then for the.
Okay, I will post them.
Yeah.
And as I said before, I have to leave now for a short time, but I will still post them before I go. So
Perfect. Thanks a lot. I will stop the recording now. You sure you want to